everyone, here we are in week 6, moving right along. Today's or this week's video will be pretty brief. We don't have very many things to go over. On the screen you should see this week's overview. It looks pretty short. The topic for the week is fine motor development, so we're going to switch gears from those gross motor skills such as rolling over, sitting up, walking, standing, jumping. We're going to move to those fine motor skills of being able to manipulate, reach, grasp, and release things with our hands and fingers. And we're going to talk about fine motor development and then also things that might impact fine motor development. As you can see in the overview, there's just one reading and then back to the Colorado Early Learning and Development Guidelines, and I'm going to go back to the website for just a minute in a second here. For the assignments for this week, you have a quiz due at the end of the week, no discussion this week, and then also your developmental matrix draft is due. Remember to go back to the video lecturette that I did a couple of weeks ago that provides an example, and then also the example is posted within the assignment link. Read the guidelines carefully. You should be searching for articles, remembering that each cell has to have the course textbook listed as one of the sources, plus 2 outside sources that you find, some peer-reviewed research articles in each cell. So that's what's due this week. I'm going to switch documents quickly and move to the modules. I don't guess I need to really show you in module. Oh, I haven't opened it yet, so you're not going to be able to see it. So in this week's module, you will see the overview. You will see a link to the Colorado Early Development Guidelines. This link is going to bring you sort of to the home page. I didn't show you this one last week. There's a 1-minute video that talks briefly about the guidelines. If you scroll all the way down and you wanted to download the PDF, which I highly recommend, you can keep those on your computer and then or print them out if you like, and you would have one document that has all of the guidelines. And so I'm sort of scrolling down to where the meat is going to be an overview, and then where the different guidelines are for each area of development. So this is a really great item to bookmark or print, whichever your preference, so that you can have pretty quick access to it. If you go back to the home page for the Colorado Early Learning and Development Guidelines as well, there are a couple of other things that I wanted to show you. Here in this middle bar, right below the video, there are 3 tabs, one for parents and caregivers, one for providers and educators, and then one for child advocates. As an educator, you will recognize this screen from last week where I told you that you could click on the different age groups and look at an overview and a chart that talks about each of the different domains and what children should be, what skills they should be accomplishing and mastering during those age groups. But if you go to the Parents and Caregivers tab, it's really interesting. It's the same, a lot of the same information for parents, but there's also a quick video overview in each one that might be worth taking a quick look at just to see what's out there for parents and the sort of information that they're giving. Again, if you don't have time for that this week or right now, certainly bookmark the home screen for the Colorado Early Learning and Development Guidelines, and you'll have it in the future. The last thing that I wanted to show you, let me go to, is our course scheduler. So we are currently in week 6, where you will take a quiz and complete the draft for the developmental matrix that's due at the end of this module. But I wanted to look ahead to next week. After this week, 2 following weeks we'll focus on cognitive development, but next week specifically your research paper outline is due. And so you're going to want to be looking beginning to look up articles that are related to your topic, so you can start reviewing those and going through some to think about what you want to include in your paper. At the outline stage, you don't have to have all of your sources identified yet, and I would probably err on the side of choosing too many. So at this point, when you're looking for articles, I would recommend that you type in some keywords to do searches either in the university libraries or on Google Scholar or other sources that you may use, the other databases that you may use. Type in your keywords. Find some articles. Again, they need to be pretty current within the last 10 years. So be sure, unless it's something that's very predominant in the specific domain that you're talking about. Look at the abstract. Read the abstract and see if it might be something that you think you might be able to use. Start making a collection of those articles, and then when you complete the outline, you will have some sources that you can begin to dig a little bit deeper into. So at the beginning of next week for the video lecturette, I will talk a little bit more in depth about the research paper outline, but this would be a good week since there's not a discussion for you to actually begin searching for some articles that you're going to use. So that's just a little heads up. So this week, read a chapter, review the early learning and development guidelines, take the quiz, and submit your developmental matrix draft, which will be one cell in the typically developing column. I recommend motor skills since we are finishing up with that. One cell under the same domain in one of the variation columns, being sure that you have your sources and begin your complete comprehensive references list for what you're using. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email, and otherwise I hope you all have a great week.